What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my full card breakdown and prediction video for UFC Paris. We have Ciryl Gane going against Serghei Spivak.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another full card breakdown and prediction video. This week, breaking down UFC Paris. We have an 11-fight card. We have a card that has already taken several years off my life. I now identify as a 35-year-old man because this card has just been frustrating from a content creator standpoint. So I tape all 12 of the fights on Sunday, and then throughout the next couple days, we start to not only lose fights, but we have fighters on this card who were supposed to fight, another fighter, and it's just wild. So William Gomis was supposed to fight Lucas Almeida. Almeida had to withdraw, and then we had Taylor Lapilus supposed to fight Muin Gafurov. Gafurov had to withdraw, and then they go ahead and put William Gomis against Ghemmouri, who we'll talk about, and then they went ahead and put Lapilus against Loughran. So it's just been an absolute nightmare. Like, I had everything done, everything researched on Sunday, and it's now Wednesday because it was Tuesday night, and we still didn't have 100% confirmation that this was even happening. So, I mean, I'm glad they figured it out, but my goodness. So we'll talk about all these fights. Not going to be a big betting card for me. Had a good betting card last week. I don't want to give it all back on this card. It's a sketchy card. It really is. We have like 50 newcomers. The main event's phenomenal. Ciryl Gane, Serghei Spivak. I love the co-main event, Manon Fiorot, Rose Namajunas, a main card as a whole. But yeah, there's some very questionable fights on this card. But I say we get into it. Before we do, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. If you want to support me more, or if you do want more content, be sure to check out dfsbythenumbers.com. So yeah, I say we get into it here. We're going to start with the first fight on the card, and this is kind of where the madness starts to happen for this week. We have a newcomer, of course, because we have 50 of them on here. We have a newcomer in Jacqueline Cavalcanti going against Zarah Fairn. We have Cavalcanti, who is 26 years old, 5'9", 4-1 in her last 5 fights, 5-1 as a whole. Zarah Fairn, she is so on some website that says Zarah Fairn's 36, but on other websites it says she's 39. So, right off the bat, there's some red flags that kind of jump out. So Zarah Fairn, which one is it? Are you 36 or are you 39? I mean, it's not that hard of a question, but I think on SureDog and Tapology they have her listed as 36, but on the actual UFC stats they have her listed as 39. So I don't know which one to go with, but not good right off the bat. Right there, red flag. But anyway, she's 5'8", 73-inch reach, 6-5, and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. So we take a look at the odds. Cavalcanti is, I believe, tied for being the biggest favorite on the entire card. Cavalcanti did open up minus 200. She's currently minus 350. And then Zarah Fairn opened up plus 170. She's currently plus 285. I'm not sure what the UFC is doing here. I think the UFC was, pretty desperate to find, some fighters from France and just throw them on the card for no reason, because I mean, this just doesn't make any sense. Like, Zarah Fairn's 0-3 in the UFC. To be fair, she did look better in her last fight against Joselyne Nunes, but Joselyne Nunes is like 4'6". So Cavalcanti is very big in her own right. She's actually going to have a 1-inch height advantage on paper. So yeah, looking into this fight, I think Cavalcanti is a good fighter, and whereas Zarah Fairn, I'm just not sure she's UFC caliber. Actually, I'm quite certain she's probably not, and she's getting up there in age. Like I said, she's either 36 or 39. I like Cavalcanti here to get it done and get it done in pretty dominating fashion. So Cavalcanti, checked out her Instagram. She's training with fighters like Tabitha Ricci, Pierre Rodrigues, that gym over there with some pretty solid grapplers. I think that was Mackenzie Dern's old gym. I'm not sure if, Dern's still there. But yeah, I would like to see Cavalcanti take this fight down to the mat, and if she does, she's going to roll right through Zarah Fairn, who just doesn't have a ground game. But even on the feet, I like the power of Cavalcanti. I think she's going to be better everywhere it goes. I think the price tag's warranted, and I think she goes out there and finishes Zarah Fairn within the first round or two. So give me Cavalcanti to win this fight, Cavalcanti to win by second round finish. One last thing to note. This is randomly a catch weight. It was supposed to be a bantamweight fight as far as I'm concerned. And then, which made me laugh because, Zarah Fairn is not making bantamweight. And quite frankly, I'm not sure if she's going to make catchweight because she's had multiple catchweight fights where she's missed weight. Like, she was supposed to fight Joselyne Nunez a couple years back for the first time. But catchweight at 140, she weighed in 147. The fight had to be called off. And then I went back before that. There was another catchweight of 140. She weighed in like 144, 145. So even though it's a catchweight, I'm still not convinced Zarah Fairn at 36/39 years old is going to make weight. So I'm not even sure this fight even happened. So I probably just wasted 4 minutes talking about it. But if it does happen, I think Cavalcanti starts Zarah Fairn here. Moving on, we got Farid Basharat going against Kleydson Rodrigues. We have Kleydson Rodrigues, 27 years old, 5'6" with a 67-inch reach, 8-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Basharat, 26 years old, 5'8" with a 71-inch reach, 10-0 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. Basharat opened up -185, currently -355. Kleydson Rodrigues opened up +160, currently +290. Speaking of weight misses, Kleydson Rodrigues has missed weight a couple times and looks like he's getting forced to move to bantamweight, and the UFC's really not doing him any favors, giving him Farid Basharat here. So, Kleydson Rodrigues was a guy on the Contender Series that really did impress me. This guy's striking looked really good. The volume looked really good. Had a ton of tools on the feet, but he made his debut against CJ Vergara, and he got hurt to the body in the second round, I believe it was, and then CJ Vergara proceeded to get on top of him, and he was just on him for the entire round. So I think Farid Basharat is just going to probably be better, everywhere this fight goes, because Basharat's a very good striker in his own right. Basharat has a lot of volume. Basharat's going to be much bigger, but I think it's the wrestling and the grappling where Basharat's going to go out here and look this price tag of -350. I like him to take down Kleydson Rodrigues, control him, and ultimately win a decision here. So give me Farid Basharat to win this fight. I'll take him to win this fight by decision. Very, very tough debut for Rodrigues at the bantamweight division. And, we'll see how it fares out for him. But, it's a tough matchup to start his career here at bantamweight. All right, moving on. We have Joselyne Edwards going against Nora Cornolle. We have Joselyne Edwards, 27 years old, 5'8" with a 70-inch reach, 13-4, 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Nora Cornolle, 34 years old, 5'7". She's 6-1 and 5-0 in her last 5 fights. So like I was saying, just kind of, tossing fighters onto this card just because they're from France. Like Nora Cornolle, I don't think she's terrible, but, she's 34 years old at this point, making her debut. This is another fight that I would just not care if it wasn't on the card, to be honest. In terms of picking a winner, I've been going back and forth. Like, I think stylistically, this is a matchup where Cornolle absolutely could have success. You take a look throughout Joselyne's career. What does she struggle with? The answer to that is getting taken down and getting controlled. Her takedown defense is not great, and her get-up game is even worse. Once she's taken down, she typically stays there. And it's like Cornolle looks good. She looks dangerous, but she's fighting like the lowest level of competition. And originally I'm like, yeah, Joselyne Edwards has fought the better competition, which she has. But, you take a look at who Joselyne Edwards is fighting. Lucy Pudilova, Jeon Kim, Ramona Pascual, Jessica Rose Clark, Yanan Wu. So it's like, yes, Joselyne Edwards is fighting better competition, but even her competition is not great as well. So, in terms of a stylistic read, Joselyne Edwards is absolutely going to be the better striker. I do like her striking quite a bit, really good volume on the feet, but, Cornolle, if she's able to get this fight down to the mat, I think she can win minutes that way. On top of that, we are in Paris, and looks like Cornolle is from France. So if it is a close decision, which it probably is going to be, it probably does go to the hometown fighter here. So give me Cornolle to win. I'm not touching this fight, but I'll take her to win this fight by a greasy decision. Moving on to probably one of my favorite fights of the card, honestly. We got Ange Loosa going against Rhys McKee. We got Loosa, 29 years old, 5'10" with a 74-inch reach, 9-3. And 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Rhys McKee, 27 years old, 6'2", with a 78-inch reach, 13-4-1, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds. We see that Rhys McKee opened up as a -130 favorite, currently -165. Rhys McKee opened up around +115, and he is currently sitting at +145. So pre-tape, I was like, yeah, I might want to take a look at betting Ange Loosa. From what I could remember, Rhys McKee's not that great. He went 0-2 in the UFC, got cut, but I actually went back and watched Rhys McKee Obviously, we can't knock him too much for getting destroyed in the first round by Khamzat Chimaev, because Khamzat Chimaev would do that to Ange Loosa as well. And then also he went in there against Alex Morono and got pieced up for 15 minutes. But went and watched his other fights outside of that. He was able to get 3 wins in a row, all by finish. And he's not as bad as I remember. He is very hittable. He's a walking punching bag, but he's super tough. He can take a shot. Very, very high volume for Rhys McKee in power. He's very dangerous as well. His takedown defense is horrendous. I think on paper it's like 20%. So that's definitely a huge hole in his game. But yeah, whenever he showed up against Khamzat Chimaev on short notice, he was like 24, 25 at the time. He's now 27 years old. I think he is getting better. He's making improvements. So, I think Rhys McKee's a lot better than I thought he was. And that's probably why some money is coming in on Rhys McKee, because he's not terrible. As far as Ange Loosa, though, this guy's tough as nails. I remember his fight against Jack Della Maddalena, where he was able to eat like 100 and plus significant strikes to the face against Jack Della Maddalena, just showing toughness. I think that's, this guy's best attribute is that toughness. This guy can take a punch. Both guys can, really. His striking defense, like Rhys McKee, is not great. It's a little bit better. On paper, it's like 49%, but both of these guys are willing to get punched in the face, and I think there's going to be a lot of volume exchanged between the two. I slightly lean Ange Loosa here for a couple reasons. He's going to be the more durable fighter. Ange Loosa has never been finished, whereas Rhys McKee has been knocked out twice. Ange Loosa is going to be able to dictate where this fight takes place. Ange Loosa, incredible takedown defense, and he can wrestle a little bit offensively, whereas Rhys McKee, horrible takedown defense. A gust of wind will knock this guy on his back. So, yeah, if Ange Loosa does not like how it's going on the feet, or even if it's like a close round, I would not mind seeing Ange Loosa going out there, getting a takedown. And if he attempts to take down Rhys McKee, he will indeed get him down, because like I said, Rhys McKee has no takedown defense to speak of. So, yeah, I think this fight probably is going to be pretty close, but I do think Ange Loosa has a little bit more ways to win this fight. I'm going to take Ange Loosa to win this fight by decision, but this fight's going to be an absolute banger. Moving on, first fight of the shenanigans for this week. So like I said earlier, Taylor Lapilus was supposed to fight Muin Gafurov, and then Gafurov had to pull out, due to visa issues, and then they did the whole switch around where, Loughran is now going to fight Lapilus, and then we have Gomis, who's now going to fight Ghemmouri. So, annoying for me, because I taped every single fight Sunday, but it is what it is. So, Lapilus, he's 31 years old, 5'6", with a 73-inch reach, 18-3, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Loughran, he is 27 years old, 5'6", 8-0, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and we have Lapilus open at -205, currently -155, and then we have Loughran open up +175. He is currently +135, and I think this fight could be close. So I went and taped Taylor Lapilus when he was supposed to fight Muin Gafurov, and quite frankly, I was blown away by Lapilus. This guy is so good. So he actually fought in the UFC a long time ago. He was super young when he fought in the UFC. I want to say like 24 years old, 23 years old even, when he fought in the UFC. The dude went like 2 or 3-1, was able to win several fights in the UFC, looked good doing it. The UFC cut him for some reason, and then he spent some time outside the UFC racking up wins. Yeah, Lapilus is very good, 18-3 in his career. He's a great striker. His takedown defense is very good. Very fast hands, very tough as well. This guy is tough as nails. I don't believe Lapilus has ever been finished as well. So yeah, I was very impressed with Lapilus, because I was initially leaning like the Gafurov side at plus money, but Lapilus' takedown defense held up, very good striking, and I really liked what I saw from the guy. And I really liked what I saw from him when he was like 24. And now he's 31. So, yeah, Lapilus is a very good fighter. Caolan Loughran is a guy that people are kind of crapping on this guy. I actually think he's really good as well. I think this is a much tougher matchup for Loughran, though. I thought he was going to kind of, I don't want to say run through Ghemmouri, but I thought he was going to beat Ghemmouri in this fight. But in this fight, it's a much different matchup. Loughran seems to be very well-rounded on the feet, a little bit hittable. Can be a little bit low volume, but he does have some power, and then he can also mix in takedowns as well, which I like to see. There were a couple fights where he was able to get takedowns, take the back, and pound his opponents out via TKO. I think Loughran's pretty good, but this is a tough matchup. Like, Lapilus has fought the much better competition and it's not even close. Lapilus has been in the UFC before. I think Lapilus is going to be the better striker. I don't see Loughran taking down and holding down Lapilus, so I got to go Lapilus to win this fight. But it's a very close match fight. I think both these guys are very good. I think Loughran will be back. I don't like the decision to take this fight. If you're Loughran, why are you taking this is a much tougher matchup than going out there and fighting a UFC newcomer in Ghemmouri. So doesn't make much sense to me. Loughran is doing the UFC a favor, though, I suppose, but give me Lapilus to win this fight. Lapilus by decision. Next, we have Morgan Charriere going against Manolo Zecchini. We have Charriere, who is 27 years old, 5'7", 18-9-1, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Zecchini, 26 years old, 5'8", 11-3, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. This seems like a pretty big setup fight here. Charriere is a guy that you watch some of his fights outside the UFC, and he has a massive fan base. People really, really like this guy. It's a reason why he's the featured prelim here. I mean, people are really big fans of Morgan Charriere. This guy has 9 losses, but I think he's a lot better than his record does indicate. Pretty impressed with Charriere. I don't think he's the best fighter in the world, but he's pretty well-rounded. This guy can strike. This guy can wrestle. He can grapple. He can take the back. Very good ground and pound. I saw him destroy somebody on the mat via ground and pound. A little bit of a submission game as well. Just a very well-rounded fighter, experienced fighter, and super tough as well. At 9 losses, I think he's been finished maybe 1 time in his career, and it was by submission a while ago. So Morgan Charriere, this guy's tough. This guy's experienced. He's fought solid guys. A lot to like about Charriere. And, he's taking on Manolo Zecchini here, who is going out there and, beating some low-level guys, knocking them out. I think his takedown defense could be a concern here. I think the cardio could be a little bit of a concern. I think there's a reason we see Charriere around minus 330 now. So money is coming in on Charriere as expected. He did open up minus 285. He's now minus 330. And then Zecchini, currently sitting as a plus 270 dog. I think Charriere really wins this fight wherever it goes on the feet. I think Charriere is going to be the better striker, but where I really think he can win this fight and win it dominantly is going to be taking this fight down to the mat, taking Zecchini's back, flattening him out and getting a TKO here, or just wearing him down and then just eventually finding that finish at some point in that second, third round. So I like Charriere here. I think it's a good matchup for him. I think the UFC is, setting him up for a win here against a very winnable opponent. And give me Charriere to win this fight. I'll say second round TKO. All right, moving on. We have some more shenanigans. We have William Gomis going against Yanis Ghemmouri. And like I said, William Gomis was supposed to fight Lucas Almeida, which would have been such a good fight. But now he's taken on Yanis Ghemmouri. So William Gomis, he is 26 years old, 6 foot, with a 73-inch reach, 12-2, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Ghemmouri, 28 years old, 5'9", 12-1, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. So yeah, I mean, I'm the biggest William Gomis hater out there, but I mean, he should be able to win this fight. So Ghemmouri, just not impressed with the guy. I actually really liked Loughran to go out there and beat Ghemmouri and honestly probably finish him. William Gomis is not finishing anybody in the UFC, so I think this fight is going to go the distance. William Gomis is going to be much, much bigger here. William Gomis is going to have a 3-inch height advantage. You imagine he's going to have a reach advantage as well. I think Gomis is going to be able to dictate where this fight takes place. And maybe I'm being a little bit too hard on Gomis, but the guy's so low volume. I don't think his offensive wrestling's that great. But I think he's good enough to win this matchup specifically. So I will probably be looking to fade him in the future. But give me William Gomis to win. Probably an awful decision. I mean, William Gomis fights are awful to watch. I mean, remember the Francis Marshall fight where they both just played patty cake for 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden in the third round, Francis Marshall decided to fight and almost finished, William Gomis. But, Gomis, I guess he has good, range management. I mean, William Gomis' striking defense has to be something ridiculous. Yeah, Gomis' striking defense is 81%. This guy is not getting hit. He's really hard to hit because he doesn't really like to engage that much. So, but yeah, Gomis should win this fight. And again, we are in France, which actually, I think both these guys are from France. Yeah, so Ghemmouri's from France as well. So either way, give me Gomis to win a horrible fight. And I'm actually shocked this is on the main card. It makes no sense to me. I mean, yeah, I don't get it, but maybe people are higher on William Gomis than I am. So give me Gomis to win a horrible decision. Moving on. Now we have a good fight. Now these rest of these fights are very good. We have Volkan Oezdemir going against Bogdan Guskov. Guskov looks terrifying, by the way. I mean, he's just looking at me. just like stare. It's kind of hard to watch. But anyway, Volkan Oezdemir, he is 33 years old, 6'2" with a 75-inch reach, 18-7, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We have Guskov, who is 30 years old, 6 foot, 14-2, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. And he just keeps on looking at me, and it's just freaking me out. But we have the odds here. We have Volkan Oezdemir. He opened up as a -175 favorite. He is currently sitting at -180, and then Guskov opening up +150, currently +155. So, originally, I was looking to maybe fade Volkan Oezdemir. He's only 33 years old, but man, he's looked like awful in his last couple fights. Like that Paul Craig fight, it was a fight where it felt like it was like 30 minutes long. I mean, it was the slowest, ugliest fight I've ever seen. Volkan looked like he was just fighting in slow motion. So that fight lasted 15 minutes, but it felt like I was watching it for like a half hour. And the fact that he was not able to knock out Paul Craig is kind of a concern to me. So yeah, I thought, Volkan, a little bit of a decline here, but he is fighting the best of the best guys. Paul Craig, great opponent. Nikita Krylov, even a really good opponent. And then obviously he's fought, the who's who. He's even fought Daniel Cormier back in the day. He's fought guys like Magomed Ankalaev. He's just fought, Jiří Procházka, just fight the best of the best guys. And now they are giving him Bogdan Guskov, who I'm kind of getting some fraud vibes. I mean, on paper, this guy's record looks, pretty dang good. 14 wins, the majority of those coming by knockout, a 100% finish rate. This guy looks very dangerous. He has very heavy hands. And then you kind of look at who he's beating, and he's not beating anybody. I mean, he's beating guys that Volkan Oezdemir would probably go 16-0 with the record that Guskov's fought. So going out there and knocking out these lower level guys, it doesn't really tell me much. And then just anytime I see this guy go into the second round, like he's just death gassed. I mean, I think this guy's cardio is horrible. His striking defense is really non-existent. So I mean, he's probably going to get knocked out here even. So yeah, the cardio is bad. The striking defense is bad. The ground game is not non-existent as well. But that's not really Volkan's game. But if Volkan wants to take him down, he will. So yeah, I mean, this is an MMA fight. These guys are going to hit each other in the face. Could Guskov knock out Oezdemir? I suppose so. But I think it's going to have to be like a first round knockout, if anything at all. I think Volkan's fought the much better competition, and it's not even comparable. I think Volkan's the better fighter. But like I said, it does seem like he is on somewhat of a decline. His last couple performances have not been amazing. But this is going to be the easiest fight for Volkan Oezdemir in a very long time. I mean, this is going to be the easiest fight for Volkan Oezdemir since... I mean, this is going to be the easiest fight for Volkan Oezdemir in the UFC, because he made his debut against OSP when OSP was, pretty decent. So, yeah, this is going to be the easiest fight for Volkan Oezdemir since he's gotten to the UFC. But Guskov does hit hard, so we'll see. But give me Volkan Oezdemir to finish Guskov, and I think it probably happens early as well. I don't think Guskov has good striking defense, good durability, and not much of nothing outside of power. So give me Volkan KO1. All right, next we have the People's Main Event. Benoit Saint-Denis going against Thiago Moises. We have Benoit Saint-Denis, 27 years old, 5'11" with a 73-inch reach, 11-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Thiago Moises, 28 years old, 5'9", 70.5-inch reach, 17-6 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. We see that Benoit Saint-Denis opened up -135. He is currently -155. Moises opened up +115. He is currently +135. And right off the bat, I'll tell you guys right now, this has been the fight that I have just struggled with the most. I've been going back and forth all week, and it's now Wednesday, and I'm still not 100% sure, who I want to pick in this fight, to be honest. So this is a fight from a betting perspective. I'm just staying far, far away. It's a fight that is very hard to call for me, at least. I know everybody's on, Benoit Saint-Denis this week. But we got to remember, this is a huge market overcorrection first and foremost. Benoit Saint-Denis was literally +275 in his last fight against Ismail Bonfim. Let me repeat that. He was +275 against Ismail Bonfim. And now all of a sudden he's a favorite against the guy in Thiago Moises who I'm not personally high on. But, this is a guy in Thiago Moises who's fought in guys like Bobby Green. He's fought in Damir Ismagulov. He's fought in Benil Dariush. He's fought in Islam Makhachev. He's fought in Joe Alvarez. Just very good guys. This guy Thiago Moises has fought in, right? And then you kind of look at it, skill for skill. I think these guys are pretty close. If not, you favor Moises. Moises is a solid striker. That striking has been improving rapidly. This guy is a black belt, world champion grappler. This guy's grappling. Moises is no joke. He doesn't have the wrestling. He's never really had the wrestling, but his grappling's very good. Just a very well-rounded fighter. But Saint-Denis is a dog. Saint-Denis, I remember that Bonfim fight where I was tempted to take like the over 1.5 in the Bonfim fight, and as soon as the fight started, I'm so glad I didn't take the over 1.5 because Benoit Saint-Denis came out like a freaking madman, just like spamming these hard kicks to the body. Benoit Saint-Denis is a guy that, he has a lot of dog at him. He's going to fight for your money. So, in terms of making a pick, I think it's a close fight. I think this fight probably actually goes to decision because I don't think Saint-Denis submitting Moises. I think that's completely off the table. But I could see Saint-Denis potentially hurting Moises. What Saint-Denis does have is power. I think Moises, is probably the better technical striker, but Saint-Denis is going to probably throw more volume. He's going to be more active on the feet. He's going to be landing the harder shots. And then in terms of, the wrestling, you got to favor Saint-Denis. Saint-Denis is the better wrestler, but the better grappler is Thiago Moises. So it's a tough fight to call. In terms of a pick, and I'm not betting this fight, especially laying chalk on Saint-Denis, but in terms of a pick, I think I'm going to pick Saint-Denis very, very hesitantly, just because I think he is going to be more active. I think he is going to be doing more damage, and I think he will be able to mix in takedowns as well, stay safe, hopefully, and ultimately grind this out to win his very first decision. Saint-Denis never won a decision, but I think this could be the first one, and on top of that, some narrative, we are in Paris, and Saint-Denis is probably at this point, one of France's biggest guy. You got Ciryl Gane, obviously, Manon Fiorot, but Saint-Denis is a guy that people are super, super high on, especially after him coming through as a massive underdog. He's not an underdog here, and I won't be betting him, but as far as a pick, I'll take Saint-Denis to win a very, very close and competitive decision. I could even see like a split decision here. I think this is a really well-matched fight. So give me Saint-Denis by decision. Next, we have Manon Fiorot going against Rose Namajunas. We got Fiorot, 33 years old, 5'7", with a 66-inch reach, 10-1, 5-0 in her last 5 fights. Rose Namajunas, 31 years old, 5'5", 65-inch reach, 11-5, 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Take a look at the odds. We see that Manon Fiorot opened up as minus 175 favorite. She's currently minus 175. Rose Namajunas opened up plus 150, currently plus 150. So this fight, it's not really tricky, but at the same time it is. Like, I feel like this should be, Manon Fiorot pretty much all day, but these odds just haven't moved at all. So I don't know if I'm missing something or what, but obviously Rose Namajunas is going to be coming up a weight class from strawweight to flyweight. She's going to be just massively undersized here. She's going to be outstrengthed here. Manon Fiorot is super strong for a flyweight. She's big for a flyweight. Manon Fiorot is going to have the power advantage. Manon Fiorot is going to have the volume advantage. Manon Fiorot is going to be able to dictate where this fight's taking place. Rose is not taking down Fiorot, whereas if Fiorot wants to take down Rose, she probably can. So I'm just not sure. And don't get me wrong, Rose is a phenomenal fighter. She has incredible wins at strawweight. Multiple wins against Zhang Wei Li, win against Jessica Andrade. Just incredible wins throughout her career at strawweight. It's just in terms of like this matchup, is she going to out-grapple Fiorot? No. Is she going to knock out Fiorot? No. Is she going to out-volume Fiorot? No, I don't think so. So it kind of feels like a trap, but in terms of a pick, I'm going to pick Fiorot to win this fight. I don't want to completely count out Rose, though, because she is an incredible fighter, an incredible striker, and it's going to be an interesting test for Fiorot, but I'll say Fiorot does get it done and get it done here by decision. Then we got the main event. I did do a more in-depth main event breakdown if you guys want to check it out, but we got Ciryl Gane going against Serghei Spivak. We got Ciryl Gane, 33 years old, 6'4", with an 81-inch reach, 11-2, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We got Serghei Spivak, 28 years old, 6'3", with a 78-inch reach, 16-3. And 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Ciryl Gane opened up minus 300 for some reason, currently minus 165. Serghei Spivak opened up plus 250, currently plus 145. So, yeah, I mean, it's a close fight here. Striker versus grappler matchup. On the feet, it's Ciryl Gane all day. It's not even close. And on the feet, Ciryl Gane is going to probably be able to knock out Serghei Spivak or just completely dominate him. But on the flip side, on the ground, I think it is Spivak all day. You know, Spivak's a guy that is able to get fights down to the mat, and when he does get on top, he has very good control. He's a guy that will chain wrestle, get you back down. He has great ground and pound, a submission game as well. He's relentless, you know, in terms of getting the fight down to the mat. And we've seen Gane, you know, that be like the one weakness he has. Because Gane's a phenomenal fighter. He's very well-rounded. But the one weakness he does have is potential takedown defense and just the ground game defensively at least. Offensively, his ground game is not terrible. He's able to submit in these lower-level heavyweights, but he's not submitting, you know, Serghei Spivak here. So I guess it all comes down to who's able to implement their game plan. Is Ciryl Gane going to be able to use that speed, the footwork, the big cage to kind of stick on the outside, frustrate Serghei Spivak and knock him out? Or is Serghei Spivak going to be able to close distance, get a hold of Ciryl Gane, drag him down to the mat? And when he does that, I think it's going to be over shortly after. So I fall under the Serghei Spivak side. I like Spivak to close distance, get the fight down to the mat, and dominate Ciryl Gane and finish him in the first round. But I'm fully aware if Spivak does not take down Ciryl Gane, he's going to look like a complete bum on the feet. So give me Serghei Spivak. I'll take him to win by first round submission, but I think somebody is getting served here one way or another. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry for the short breakdown. Sorry for the late breakdown, but my goodness, just so many changes throughout this card. We still have weigh-ins. You know, Zarah Fairn's probably going to miss weight by 70 pounds, so we might even lose another fight. It's just been a weird week for UFC Paris. So many newcomers. So yeah, looking forward to keeping it small this week. I have 2 bets thus far, both plus money, going to add a couple more, but it's going to be a small betting card nonetheless. And the next week we have UFC 293, which would be a solid card as well. So, we'll be back for some final thoughts on Friday, potentially a bet show on Saturday, and best of luck for UFC Paris. We'll see you guys later.